Hello, everyone. I'm Bill Hennessy, and welcome to the California 400 here at Mesa Marin Raceway outside of Bakersfield. It's certainly a super weekend of racing, and we've seen the USAC midgets, the Skull Bandit late model stock cars, and the super modifieds so far. But the crown jewel in the weekend activities, the California 400 for the Winston West Series competitors. Joining me on today's broadcast is Randy Hamill. Randy?
Bill, you're absolutely correct about this being a super weekend of racing. This event is rapidly becoming known as the largest oval track racing show in the western United States. And, of course, it features the NASCAR Winston West cars. The Winston West cars began racing out here on the West Coast in the early 1950s and have undergone a great many changes since that time. In the 90s, it has become the premier racing event on the West Coast.
Mesa Marin, over the years, has seen legendary competitors. Folks like Winston Million winner Bill Elliott, Indy 500 winner Bobby Unser, and Neil Bonnett. And, of course, last year's Daytona 500 champion started here on the West Coast. We're talking about Derek Cope. But a gentleman who's been around for ages, some 45 years, Herschel McGriff, is pitside with our Bruce Flanders.
$1 Million Bill Elliott on the Winston Cup circuit calls Herschel McGriff the Richard Petty of the West Coast. And Richard Petty of the West Coast he may well be. Does that seem like it applies to you, Herschel?
Well, it's a compliment. You know, I've been around a long time running with Richard's dad and his son, and I used to, you know, go back to and run back east, a lot of races, and of course I stick pretty much out here in Winston West now. But I feel it's quite an honor that they consider me that way.
400 laps. Is it going to be hard on the body?
I think I'm more used to it than most of these younger guys. I think I'll get out of the car probably a little pressure, and I'm able to relax a little more, you know, and I don't think age has got that much difference to it. It's all kind of the way you feel.
All right, now Herschel McGriff is one we cannot forget today, but don't forget, too, that there is the Battle of the Bills. There's Bill Schmidt and Bill Sedgwick, both of whom have run quite well here before, and Mike Chase, who is the current points leader after one race this season. So we're looking for a good one. Let's go back upstairs to Bill.
Stock car racing is only half of the picture out here. This area in Central California has a very diverse background. It's a rich agricultural area with many natural resources, including one of the richest oil fields in the country, as well as great recreational areas. Bakersfield is California's capital of country music, home to such stars as Merle Haggard and Buck Owens. But most importantly, it's an area of strong racing tradition with the likes of Indy 500 winner Rick Mears and off-road champ Roger Mears and the late Billy Vukovich III. This half-mile oval here at Mesa Marin is considered one of the fastest tracks west of the Mississippi. Don't go away. We'll be back to see how they qualified yesterday. Welcome back to the Mesa Marin Raceway in Bakersfield, California for the California 400. The beautiful San Joaquin Valley. I was very impressed with my first visit here to Bakersfield, California.
From the helicopter, you can see just how beautiful this rolling hillside country is.
Well, the field is set. They're all lined up 2 by 2 by 2. 24 cars set to go. And up front, the man on the pole is Butch Gilliland, who has won his first pole ever here at Mesa Marin. Let's go down to the pits with Bruce.
Right now I'm with the pole sitter, Butch Gilliland. And Butch, this is your first ever pole anywhere. How's that feel?
It feels real good. We're happy to be here. The car's fast. It was fast a couple weeks ago at the last race, and we're happy to be here.
Now, what do you accredit your first pole position to?
The crew's worked real hard. It's a new car, and we got a new crew chief, George Jefferson, that's worked with a lot of good drivers, and is working good with me right now.
Now, what do? You come back in, you tell them, hey, the front end's pushed in, and they dial it up, and you go back out, and it goes quicker?
Yeah, and he can also see on the track what it's doing, and a lot of times he can tell me what it's doing before I can tell him.
Was that a bonsai run for the pole?
No, it wasn't. Matter of fact, we can do more things to make it go faster, and we just used our race setup, and it worked so well, it put us on the pole without even trying.
There's some heavy hitters parked around you, though.
Yeah, there is, but our car should remain just as fast as it was throughout the race.
All right, well, Butch Gilliland says it's going to remain just as fast throughout the race. We're going to watch and find out.
Certainly an honor to be bestowed upon anyone is the opportunity to give the command to start your engines. And now for the most dramatic moment in all professional sports, here's Buck Owens.
My pleasure to introduce the legend, the man that made the one of the most famous places in the world for those 4 magic words. Buck Owens.
Gentlemen, start the engines.
The roar
Bill, I'll tell you, 400 laps here at Mesa Marin is going to be a dandy shot. We're going to see pit stops by these Winston West crews, and it's going to be a great race.
Well, the field is set. Up front, the man on the pole is Butch Gilliland, who has won his first pole ever here at Mesa Marin. He's flanked by the 75 car Bill Sedgwick. In row 2,
we have the 28 car Gary Collins from right here in Bakersfield, and the number 56 car from Lakeside, Ron Esau.
Another local driver goes off in the fifth starting position. That's Mike Chase. And then he's flanked by car number 73 from Redding, California, three-time national champion Bill Schmidt.
And, of course, we go back to that next row, the 04 car from Portland, Oregon, and that is the legend, Herschel McGriff, alongside the 91 car, who has been working all night to get this car back on the starting grid to take the green flag in this California 400, the 91, Robert Sprague out of North Bend, Oregon.
From here in Bakersfield, California, is car number 72, starting 9th, Mark Reed. 10th from Chico, California, is car number 9, J.C. Danielson. Starting 11th is 00, Scott Gaylord, all the way from Jacksonville Beach, Florida. Starting 12th is car number 99 from Roseville, California, John Krebs. From Palmdale, California, starting 13th is car number 86, Ron Hornaday Jr. 14th from Boning Lake, Washington, car number 60, Larry Gunselman. 15th is car number 98, Billy Jack Shaw from Minden, Nevada. 16th on the grid from Orangeville, California, is car 15, Rick Scribner. 17th from Sacramento, California, is car number 44, Jack Sellers. 18th, R0, Tim McCauley from Huntington Beach, California. Starting 19th is car 22, St. James Davis from West Covina, California. And starting 20th is car number 93, Wayne Jacks from Las Vegas, Nevada. That's our starting lineup here for the California 400 from Mesa Marin Raceway outside of Bakersfield. Back to Mesa Marin Raceway in Bakersfield, California, California 400. They continue to get the tires warmed up, the oil pressure builds up, and of course temperature in the engines before they go racing here. This is a very eventful time for drivers. It's your last opportunity to really communicate with your pit crew via your two-way radio. You also have the opportunity to cinch up the belts a little bit tighter. You shake the steering wheel a bit. You want to make sure the pin is in through the safety hub so the steering wheel doesn't come off in your hands. You make sure all your switches are running correctly. You check your gauges. And you say right now, hey, I hope I'll be around for the checkered flag. And I certainly hope all 24 of these competitors have that opportunity to take the checker here at Mesa Marin this afternoon.
One of the other things that these guys are doing at this moment, of course, is listening. These cars are highly tuned race machines, and boy, I'll tell you, you can hear all kinds of rattles and vibrations and weird noises on these parade laps prior to that green. And this is, as you say, the last time to hear it, Bill, before you drop the green and the RPM comes up and everybody's going fast.
Well, you certainly hope that your crew has done a good job. They've tightened all the air-equipped lines. The brakes are working. Every nut and bolt has been torqued down. The opportunity to run 400 laps over this very fine half-mile facility that has been in existence for some 14 years and belongs to a fellow named Marin Collins, who takes a great deal of pride in his facility. As a matter of fact, that's his son starting in third, starting spot this afternoon. That's his son Gary in the 28 car. Fans are up and on their feet now, waving their hats, clapping their hands, stomping their feet, whistling, ready to send one of their drivers on their way towards a chance to pick up the lion's share of posted prize money this afternoon.
It would be interesting to get into the head of our pole sitter, Butch Gilliland, in the 24 car. Gilliland is bringing his first pole position in Winston West Racing down into turn 3. Look at that green flag. He's got a real racer alongside, and Gilliland has got to decide how he's going to bring them to the green.
Into turn 3, it's up to him to make the break when he sees the green flag as they come out of turn 4. 24 Winston West cars, all the colors of the rainbow come to the stripe. Who will lead the first lap? It'll be interesting to see. Sedgwick takes him high to the outside. Gilliland low to the inside. They run abreast of each other. Off the second quarter, Sedgwick tries to make a break. They shuffle and dice for position. Gilliland down low on the racetrack now as they come around to complete lap 1. Sedgwick will be the leader to the line. Ron Esau has moved up. He's battling now for second place. Gilliland comes back strong down low on the inside of the racetrack. Sedgwick draws out in front again. They come back around. Both of these cars running heads up. They may make it 3 abreast, coming back to the stripe. First lap, 89.46 miles an hour, 20.12 on the ticks of the clock. They head back down the back straightaway, and what a race we have for first place. How long can Gilliland hang on in the low grid? Slips a little high now, brings the car out. Esau is going to close down on them. Esau makes a position for himself and actually hits the right front corner of the Gilliland car, trying to squeeze in behind Bill Sedgwick.
Back in that 4th and 5th spot, we've got a battle going on. Gary Collins in the 28 car and Mike Chase in the number 23. They are side by side to have been for the last couple of laps.
Down into turn number 1. Ron Esau looking for the opportunity to move by Bill Sedgwick. There's nothing more gratifying for a racing driver to be up front and see his number posted on the scoreboard as the leader. An exciting race here in the early going. Last lap, 88.45 miles per hour. That's a very fine speed for 3,500-pound race cars. And a new leader.
You know, it's very curious looking at Sedgwick. Sedgwick seems to be unable to keep the 75 car down on the bottom side. The last 2 laps, the 75 has moved topside, and Esau and Gilliland both have taken advantage of that to pick up first and second place. We'll have to keep an eye on the 75 Wayne Spears car.
Well, Esau is the former track record holder here, and he certainly knows his way to go around the racetrack. Taking a look at 4th and 5th place on the racetrack. 2 local guys are flat battling it out.
Boy, they are, and they have done some battle here before. Mike Chase in the 23, Collins in the 28, and Chase makes the pass as they come out of turn number 2. Collins is caught on the top side, and here comes the veteran, Herschel McGriff in the 04 car, and can't get it done. He gets wiped off on a slower car.
We're lapping cars already. The Chuck Welch car, car number 8, being lapped now by your leaders as they now move up on the Mark Moore car. Car number 96, they overtake him down in turn 1. Every one of the veterans now running in single file formation, realizing this is a very long race. 400 laps on a very warm afternoon here under the California sunshine.
Well, now Chase, or check that. Bill Sedgwick in the 75 has moved back up on the back side as Esau brings them around through 1 and 2. Sedgwick seems to have picked it back up just a little bit.
Third, 4th battle right now is between the Chase car and that of Collins. Those drivers battle out of turn 4, coming back to the stripe there. Chase gets the advantage.
Well, moving back just a little bit behind Collins, one of our local racers again moving right on past the 04, and the 04 is slowing down. Herschel McGriff is slowing down. The 04 car is not running as quickly as he was a couple of laps back.
Taking a look down into turn number 1. The 04 car, Herschel McGriff, going into turn number 1, finds himself bicycling backwards through the field as J.C. Danielson passes him by. And now John Krebs goes by in the 99 car, the Skoll entry, overtaking McGriff. McGriff looks like he may have a problem with a tire since he is slowing down.
Esau brings him out of turn number 2 up to put a lap on St. James Davis in the 22 car. And again, the contest back there, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. That is Gilliland, Sedgwick, and Chase.
Ron Esau, certainly the class of the field in the early going here at Mesa, Marin, California, as he moves off of the 2nd quarter and down the back straightaway. A very smart driver, realizing that if you are the leader, traffic will move over for you and allow you the opportunity to transverse the racetrack. He moves back to the starting stripe, and we see a black flag going out for apparently the St. James Davis car, 22. I believe his number has been posted here by NASCAR. So a problem on the 22 car, he'll be called in for consultation. Showing smoke, they say. Thus, he had better come in and have that checked. His crew chief happens to be a woman who is his wife, and her name's LaDonna Davis, so she'll be going under the hood when he makes the stop. She seems slowing down now, but he's going to take another lap before he goes in. He may not have seen the black flag. He'll be given 3 laps to make his way onto pit lane. Boy, some crash down in turn 1. 75 goes sideways. Sedgwick is going to bring out the yellow as he collided with Gilliland and the 0 car of Tim McCauley. The car sitting sideways down in turn 1. The front bumper cap has been torn off of the car.
Well, Sedgwick is coming off the racetrack under his own power, but the car is not steering. The front end of the car does not look good at this point, Bill.
Apparently, he may have suffered some suspension damage. He did. He's broken a tie rod. And with a tie rod in disarray, the front end will not steer. He'll actually be pushing one of the wheels as it goes into violent tow-out. And that's what's happening right now with the car 75 machine. Bill Sedgwick, always a strong runner. Looks like he's going to be sidelined early, or at least temporarily put into the pits. His crew chief, Chris Robinson, is working on the car. And our very own Bruce Flanders should be on the scene, checking in to find out exactly what's going on. Let's go to Bruce now.
Well, Bill Sedgwick's car has been behind the wall now for quite a while as they've been wrenching on it. The front end looks like it's about ready to go. When he does, he's going to have to do some kind of a U-turn right here in front of us and get us back. My guess is he's lost 10, 12 laps right now, and he's no longer in contention to win a race. In fact, as we just talked about it, I thought it was time for him to get back out, but they're going back to work on the front end, so Sedgwick's chances are going up in smoke.
Now the replay, we pick it up a little after it happens. The 0 car, Tim McCauley was down on the inside. Butch Gilliland was on the outside. They squeezed the 75 car between them. He took the damage on the front of the car as he spun sideways, and the 0 car drug across the right front corner of the automobile. So that's what took place here on lap 24 at Mesa Marin this afternoon. Stay with us for more of TNN's coverage on the California 400. Butch Gilliland, who was involved in the crash going into turn 1, may have suffered some suspension damage, and this would be of great concern to his new chassis man, George Jefferson. The man that started on the pole may have handicapped himself when this yellow came out. Let's check in with Bruce Flanders down on the pits. Bruce is there with Bill Sedgwick.
Right now, as they work on this car, surprisingly, the thing they're trying to do is set the toe in and the toe out and the caster and the camber the same way you would on your street car. They've got to make sure that after that front end damage that the car is ready to turn left properly here on the racetrack at Mesa Marin. They're eyeballing it, they're measuring it with measuring tape, and they're not far away from getting back into it.
Taking a look at the field, moving into turn 3, we see Jack Sellers, who was a lap down, being flanked by your leader, Ron Esau, and Chase riding in second place. The green flag flies. Gary Collins has some damage on the right side of his car in the 28 machine. So we see Ron Esau and 2 Bakersfield boys now battling, and now Chase is down to the inside, going into turn 3, moves his adversary up the racetrack. Rim rides down on the inside of the racetrack, brings the car out, but Esau powers the car up and moves it down into turn 1. In case you're wondering what that big bright red sticker is on the right side of the windshield of Ron Esau's car, he competed down at the Thunderdome in Melbourne, Australia, in the big invitational race down there, and they put the decals on the front windshield that indicated USA or Australian. So he's still carrying his USA colors with a lot of pride.
Well, chasing the 23 car, moved up alongside Esau a couple of laps back, showed him that right front fender. Esau refused to be intimidated.
Your leader's moving back down into turn 1. Ron Esau and Chase making it look easy to traverse this racetrack. An interesting driver who is making a hard charge is the 86 car, Ron Hornaday Jr. They worked on this race car all yesterday and all Friday afternoon, hoping to get this car in contention. Hornaday is still a rookie as far as the Winston West Series is concerned, even though he's driven in the Southwestern Tour and has a considerable number of laps on this racetrack. Hornaday moves up behind Gary Collins, the son of Marion Collins, who owns this racetrack and is battling for third place right now. Coming out of turn 4, your leader's coming back to the stripe. But Esau is the class of the field now. Chase continues to haunt him. The track is getting a bit slick. We see cars starting to slide around now. Many of the drivers indicated that the track would get slick as it got hotter here during the daylight hours. Normally this track runs in the evening and at night.
That's true, Bill. And the temperature has a great deal to do with it. Sort of cooks the oil out of the asphalt. And especially with a whole group of heavy stockers running on it, it really gets greasy. Now, we just received word from NASCAR that the 56 car, Ron Esau, may have a problem. The car is jumping out of gear.
I imagine he's got his hand resting on it and is pulling it in forth as much as he possibly can. Only thing they can usually do in a situation like that is try to lock it in a gear, or perhaps getting what is known as a big bungee cord and try to tie the gear shift lever down. But he's being challenged, and he gets bumped on the left rear quarter panel as Mike Chase is challenging him going into turn one. Goes down low on the racetrack, makes a hard charge off the second quarter, and we've got a local boy up front.
Mike Chase looking for that lead as they run into turn number 3, and of course Chase knows how to get that done. And while we're watching Mike Chase pick up the lead, Ron Hornaday makes the move on Collins and picks up the 3rd spot. So a lot of movement at the front 4 of this thing early in our 400 laps.
Racing is quite tight here at this Bakersfield half-mile racetrack. We see Ron Hornaday, who has moved by Gary Collins and now is challenging for second place. And he's trying to do it the hard way on the outside of the racetrack. He gets a little loose as you see the car slip around. He drives the car hard into turn 1. Obviously, this driver likes a loose race car because the way that he is driving it is flat out and belly to the ground. As he moves into turn 3, he's up to second place. Ron Hornaday continues to charge, riding in second place as they overtake some lap traffic now as they move by the Welch car and they move out of turn number 4. Now, Hornaday has never driven a car that weighs this much, 3,500 pounds, basically 800 pounds more than what he's accustomed to. As he moves down the back straightaway, there's a chance he may burn the right rear off of that car, keeping it hooked up as tight as he's running the automobile through the corners. He moves up on Mike Chase's car, the 23 machine. They overtake St. James Davis. Then they go by the bright yellow pumpkin car of Rick Mackey to the outside. The next car they'll overtake is the man that distributes Coca-Cola and Dad's Root Beer out of Sacramento, California, Jack Sellers. Jack's the type guy that invites you over for a cool one. Will ask you over for Dad's Root Beer. Back to the stripe. Chase, Hornaday, 1-2. Esau rides in 3rd place. Those 3 cars running a trio heading into turn number 3. They'll soon be overtaking the 15 car of Rick Scribner as they continue this very torrid pace on this beautiful half-mile asphalt facility.
Chase brings Hornaday out of turn number 2. Mike Chase, of course, with probably more lead laps here at Mesa Marin than most anybody else running here this afternoon, knows how to get around this racetrack. Hornaday, I'm sure, has planned his strategy around the fact that he'd like to get up close to Chase and follow him around this half-mile oval.
Well, the 23 car, Mike Chase, his sponsors are headquartered right here in Bakersfield, California, so he's making the hometown crowd a bit happy, and that, of course, is Fry Miller Trucking.
Don Fry Miller, been involved in racing for a lot of years. Took Mike back to the East Coast, and they wanted to do a little Winston Cup racing and couldn't put the deal together, so they're back to run the Winston West Tour this 91 season. Of course, Michael, the 1990 Winston West rookie champion.
Let's see what they do when they move up with this traffic now. They're coming up on Rick Scribner on the 15 car and Mark Moore on 96. Moore smartly gets down to the inside. Scribner does not want to go another lap down, and he rides down to the inside of the racetrack, and now Chase has to go the hard way around him. Gives Hornaday the opportunity to pull up very close to the rear bumper, and Hornaday will use the traffic to his advantage. Ron Hornaday Jr., his dad was a 2-time Western Series champion, and he is knocking on the door right now of Mike Chase. His crew chief is Jim Benison. A bunch of nice guys who fuel this car for Ron Hornaday. Back to the stripe again. They're moving up on the Welch car. Welch in car number 8. It looks like the Snickers car that Bobby Hillin raced in the Winston Cup Series last season. Taking a look at 75, Sedgwick has returned to the racing wars after completing repairs.
Well, it's good to see the 75 car back. A lot of laps down at this point, Bill, but I'll tell you, the Wayne Spears Racing Chevrolet crew has done a good job getting Sedgwick back on the racetrack, and I can tell you right now, he will race with these people, whether the laps are down or not.
Well, okay, we got a car in the wall. Ron Esau straight the outside retaining wall up in turns 3 and 4. That automobile slowing down now as he goes into turn 1, your third place runner with some problems. Now your leader going into the third corner has advanced himself approximately 7 car lengths out in front of the second place runner. 56 riding right behind. Ron Hornaday, your third place runner on the racetrack, almost found himself in a terrible position.
The interesting thing about that, I would love to have been in the race car with Esau as he went to the wall down in turn number 4. He's driving with one hand and holding the car in gear with the other one. Now, that doesn't leave a lot of room for making any kind of serious mistake. Esau did not drop a position, still maintaining the third spot behind Hornaday in the 86 car. As we run down into turn number 3, the leader, Mike Chase, in the blue number 23.
Mike Chase, certainly the class of the field as he heads back down into turn number 1. Bruce Flanders is in the pits talking with the crew chief on the front-running car.
With Leon Ruther right now in the Mike Chase crew chief, and all of a sudden you guys are out in front of this thing. Are we doing it just the way you planned it?
That's the way we planned it. It's sort of a replay of 2 weeks ago. We hope it continues.
When is he due back in now?
Oh, we're going to come in about 50, 60 laps. If they have a yellow, we'll run about 90 if we don't.
Okay. How many sets of tires do you expect him to use up today?
About 4 or 5.
Okay, well, let's hope it's about 4 and that everything works well.
Great, thank you.
Taking a look at your leader as he goes down into turn number 1, and he certainly is distancing himself between the second place runner and himself, Ron Hornaday Jr. We have completed 51 laps. 51 laps of the 400 are in the record book, and Esau, who had his problems a little earlier, looks like he's coming back strong now in the 56 car. Stay with us in our continuing coverage of the California 400 from Mesa Marin Raceway.
3, the leader at lap 75. This is Mike Chase, and expounding on that just a little bit further, Bill, Chase now has a cushion over the second spot. We've got Jack Sellers coming out of the pit. Sellers in and taking on 2 right side tires.
Tires always add to the competition of a race, and many of these drivers are already set up with how many they're going to have in the pits and what it will take to take them to victory lane.
We talked to the 73 crew about how many tires they will actually use during this 400 laps.
In the case of the number 73 car, Bill Schmidt, there are 27 tires here on the ground right now. In fact, they're getting ready to glue the lug nuts onto them so that they can make quick tire changes. There's 4 on the car. That makes 31. There's 4 more sitting where they pulled it out of the hauler right now. Now, I don't know about you, but I got 60,000 miles out of my last set of tires. These guys are going to go 400 laps and burn 30 of them to the ground in one day.
Chase's car really hasn't slowed at all. It has been consistently right down there in the high 19-second mark. He's kept the car out of trouble all afternoon so far. In the early stages of this race, he certainly has been the man to beat. He's going to have to make a stop here in the near future. Bill Schmidt told me earlier today, maybe 125, maybe 135 laps. If you can stretch it that far, we will be lucky.
The advantage that Chase has had so far is the fact that nobody has really pushed him the last 50 or 75 laps, and so Chase has been able to cruise the car, if in fact you can cruise a car on this racetrack at these kinds of speeds. But he has been able to breathe the car and not really punish the tires on the 23 car, and so he is going to be able to go just a little bit farther before he hits that pit road.
Chase is trying to put a number of these drivers at least a lap down. He is within sight of the 56 car, which is running in second place right now. And Sedgwick, that is oh, they got a blown engine, looks like. Smoke on the racetrack behind car 72, going into turn number 2. This young driver was putting on an excellent display of driving. He goes down the back straightaway, smoke billowing out from beneath. Car 72, local driver Mark Reed. The yellow will come out. The cars will bunch up and make their entrance down on the pit lane in moments. But this young driver has to be very disappointed. Winston West starts every time he's been competitive, and now he pulls in. If the engine hasn't gone sour, he's at least broken an oil line.
Well, I'll tell you, Bill, the crew is not in a big hurry to get the hood up on the number 72 car, so Mark Reed obviously is in much deeper trouble than he would like to be at this point. The yellow flag is out. Alan Porter up on the catbird seat with the yellow in hand.
Bruce Flanders is trackside, checking on the story.
The car is now back behind the paddock wall, being jacked up as we speak at this moment. Mark, what do you suspect has gone wrong?
Well, we got a major vibration and lost a lot of oil. I'm afraid that we lost something in the lower end of the motor. It's too bad because it was hooked up, and you know we got ahead of them by pitting early, and nobody else pitted because it went that long green. I think we could have been there at the end. It would have been a real good race.
This is your hometown track, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's our hometown track. It's our third race ever in a big heavy car, but we've had some pretty good success. Now we test our finishes and races.
All right. Well, better luck on the next one.
Oh yeah, we'll be at Sears Point in June.
Okay. Well, Mark Reed in the number 72 car, as we get out of the way as the crew goes to work on it, they may get him back in. It may take them less laps to do it than it did some of the other competitors we've been working on so far today. Let's go back up to Bill upstairs.
Your leader comes onto the pit lane. Practically every car on the track, with the exception of Gary Collins, who just made a stop, stays on the track. The first man into the pits is your leader, car number 23.
Then we've got Gilliland stopping down here also. Herschel O'Brien, the 75 car, Bill Sedgwick, who is not in contention at this point, down a lot of laps. I'll tell you, it's getting real busy. John Krebs, the 99 car in.
28.
Ron Hornaday.
Ron Hornaday in. Mike Chase, the first driver to come back out of the pits, being stopped at the end of the pit line for just a moment. Now he's being told to go ahead and come on back out. He's followed by Sedgwick, McGriff, then the 24 car, Butch Gilliland, as they file back onto the back straightaway here. Larry Gunselman has been in. Bill Schmidt has been in. John Krebs has been in. And Krebs is a driver who we may want to keep our eye on. The last driver out of the pits is car number 56. That's Ron Esau. Now, Esau was said to be having some problems with the transmission. Gary Collins, this is Bill Hennessy with TNN. Looks like you've had a heck of a race so far. Tell us about track conditions and the problems with you having to stop under green rather than being able to take advantage of a yellow.
Well, the tires were greasing up pretty bad. They felt we needed to stop, so we went ahead and stopped. We got 4 tires. They only got 2, so I'm on left side ahead of everybody. Hopefully we'll be able to get the car going to the front, get some brakes, and make up our laps. And the track is really slick out here. It's really greasy.
Gary, you look like you're really capable. I know you'd like to win it before the hometown crowd.
Yeah, we're going to, it's a long way from over. We're going to give it our best shot.
Go get them when they go green.
Thank you, Bill.
Getting ready for the restart here at Mesa Marin Raceway. We see the cars in the lead lap going to the high side, and the lap cars will be on the inside lane. Your leader being shown as Bill Schmidt, car 73, trying to draw up along with Ron Esau, but some of the lap cars are going to play havoc and play a lot of traffic with these leaders. But Schmidt has to run behind Wayne Jacks, who was out of the race a little earlier, has returned, and now Herschel McGriff comes down beneath the Bill Schmidt car as they move off the second corner. The 28 machine is a lap down. That is Gary Collins. We just talked with him via two-way radio with our in-car radio here this afternoon. The way they're running is Schmidt is your leader. Ron Esau is in second place. Your third place runner is car number 23. And he is way back in the pack as of right now. So taking a look at your leader, that's Schmidt in the bright red Ford. Doing a lot of research and development for Junior Johnson here on the West Coast. Earlier, Bruce talked to Bill Schmidt.
We feel pretty confident that we can come back, and this race here will be a good start for us. We've had good luck here before.
What's it going to take to go 400 laps here today and end up in victory circle?
Well, just be consistent, stay out of trouble, and take over command of this thing about the last 100 laps and go for it.
Now, in a couple of spots in the United States, you'd be considered a heretic for throwing away a Chevrolet and going with a Ford. What made you make that decision?
Well, it was kind of a unique situation, but we, Junior's built my engines even for Chevrolets for years, and I've known him for a long time. When they made their change to Ford, he tried his best to get me to change then. I said, no, I'll stay with Chevrolet, you know. And last year, between Junior and Ford people, they got together and made us a heck of a deal. We couldn't turn it down.
Now, Schmidt looked as though he was having a difficult time keeping the race car down on the racetrack as they ran through 3 and 4 this last trip around. We'll keep an eye on the 73 car.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more continuing coverage of the California 400 here on TNN. Welcome back to the California 400. The top 3 at the present time are Schmidt, Esau, and Chase, but Chase has a lot of traffic to overcome.
Back during that yellow flag session, Bill, Mike Chase came in and picked up 2 right side tires, as did everybody else. And before we went back to green, Chase was back in the pits. The crew had the hood up, doing something in the front of the race car. We've got a spin on the back straightaway. Mark Moore, the 96 car, takes it up against the wall.
Mark just did a lazy spin, may have made contact with the inside guardrail. The yellow is back out and will bunch the field back up once again. Well, the wrecker's out to service the 96 car, which just spun on the back straightaway. Mark Moore from Lincoln, California. Apparently he's okay, but some damage on the right side corner of the car. Your leader into the pit area now is Bill Schmidt in car number 73, followed by Ron Esau, the second place runner. Mike Chase, who is riding in third, is also in the pits. All 3 of those drivers lined up almost nose to tail at the end of the pits going into turn number 1.
Now you'll notice
on the left side, tires on the left side for Esau and Chase. They're having trouble getting up the leader on the jack. Apparently the jack has suffered a malfunction, and now the 23 car, the Fry Miller trucking entry of Mike Chase, will be the first car out of the pits when they put the go paddle up to go. Now he's away. Ron Hornaday follows him. Robert Sprague behind that car. And 96, the car that spun, obviously will get started on his own again. That was the car of Mark Moore, riding as a teammate to John Krebs. The man who was racing up front and was being scored as the leader now comes back down the pit lane. He was able to beat everybody out of the pits. He comes out, goes back right into the pits, and he may be having problems. The hood is going to go up. The hood is up on Mike Chase. And very quickly, let's go down and find out what the story is. Bruce Flanders is there.
How is everything working?
Back now, 8 cylinders.
Okay, it was, though, down for a while on 7? Or?
Yeah, we ran about 100 laps with 7 cylinders there.
Now, what did you do to bring it back, Magic?
It had a spark plug that got against the header. We just tied it back over, and it seems like it's right now.
Now, who are the tough guys you're running against? You're more up in tune with this field and who's left and who's hot.
73 cars tough, and 56 cars.
All right, communications time going on right here, but apparently everything is okay, and they're back on track with 8 cylinders running again.
We'll race now.
Okay.
Bill Sedgwick, this is TNN in the tower, the Nashville Network. We're covering your race today. Looks like you had your problems in the early going. Can you recover?
I think we're too many laps down to recover, but we do have a fast car here that's Spears manufacturing. Sunoco Chevrolet is really running good. You know, I just got myself in a situation there that I couldn't get out of, and it's tough luck on my part.
It looked like you had a hole, and all of a sudden it closed up, and boy, I tell you what, you really took the brunt of it.
I'll tell you what, it closed up real tight.
Bill, get yourself some points this afternoon. It's a long season.
Thank you.
John Krebs has emerged as the leader in car number 99. The second place runner is Ron Esau. Your third place runner should be Bill Schmidt. Fourth is the Mike Chase car. And Mike, of course, told you that he had a spark plug wire laying on a header. He's gotten that thing straightened out, and hopefully he's back in contention. Should you lead a race in the Winston Racing Series, you pick up 5 points. 5 points. And that's what John Krebs is trying to do here. He wants to lead a green flag lap. He's already picked up the 5 points because he led it under caution. but it's a big ego boost to be the leader under green, and he has been shot out of a cannon 3 car lengths in front of Ron Esau. As they come down the back straightaway, a beautiful camera shot as they come into turn number 3 now.
In fact, John Krebs got off turn 4 so well that it earned him a shaking finger from our flagman, Alan Porter.
Back down into turn 1, we see Krebs looking in his rearview mirror. He sees Ron Esau back there, and Esau is haunting him going into turn 3. Meanwhile, the 73 car, Schmidt, is there, and what a battle we have. A Pontiac, an Oldsmobile, a Ford, and a Buick make up the top 4. Krebs has gone longer since his last win than any driver who was active when he was running, which was back in 1978. So it tells you that Krebs obviously is very hungry. In his Skoal-sponsored Pontiac Grand Prix SE, back across the stripe, down into turn number 1. And this driver certainly has driven a conservative race to this juncture. He's made his machine last. And that may be the story here, because 400 laps is the distance. We've completed 142 as they come to the stripe.
Krebs also, along with being a very hungry race driver, runs a very classy operation. He's a very nice young man. His wife is very involved in his racing program. His crew works hard. They always field a very competitive race car.
Ron Hornaday has fallen off the pace going into turn 3 now, and that driver has had his hands full since the beginning of the race. He found himself as one of the quicker cars, and looks like he's got some problems as he's slowing down going into turn number 1 now. His crew will be obviously ready to service him when he comes down the pit lane. It looks like he will do so this time by for Ron Hornaday Jr.
Yes.
He's down the pit lane now, moving around. It's coming in, the car slowing down. 99, John Krebs, your leader. Krebs, more or less the chief cook and bottle washer on the entire operation for his crew. Krebs builds the engines, maintains the car, and does a super job of racing this automobile on the West Coast. But he hasn't won one since 1978. His car was built by Hutchison Pagan back in Charlotte, North Carolina. Like we said, he builds the engines. In case you're wondering what a race car driver does Monday through Friday, well, this one, John Krebs, is a utility supervisor for Pacific Gas and Electric.
Well, down in the 86 car, Ron Hornaday has got to be very upset at this point. Hornaday is behind pit wall. The crew put the lid back down on the front end of the car, and Hornaday is taking the 86 car behind the wall.
Ron Hornaday, this is Bill Hennessy with TNN in the tower. Is your day over? What's the problem?
I don't know, just going down the back straightaway, just running real good. The car just missing down the back straightaway a little bit. We're going to check it out. I hope I can get back out there and run some laps.
Looks like old Jim Benison and the boys are going to work on that thing real hard.
Yeah, they're a good crew. They put a good car together and everything. Just hope we can get it back out there so we can get some laps in for them.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Back to the front of the pack, and looks like the 98 car, Billy Jack Shaw, has cut down a right front tire as the leaders go by him. He cuts down into the dirt on the inside apron of the racetrack, but continues to run, and he should be going into the pits this time by. But the battle is for the lead right now as Mike Chase goes to the high side of John Krebs, does it the hard way, going down into turn number 1, and Mike Chase has forged back into the front.
This is a pass for position right here. Chase drops a hammer on the 23 car and makes a great topside pass on John Krebs in the number 99. Chase, again, looks a little high as he comes out of turn number 4. They've been working on the front end of this car for several trips through the pits. We'll have to keep an eye on this thing, Bill.
Don't go away. We'll be right back with more exciting Winston West racing action. To the California 400. The battle for the lead is between Mike Chase, 23, and the 73 Ford Thunderbird of Bill Schmidt. Whoa, a spin in turn 3, and it's Ron Esau, John Krebs, J.C. Danielson, and the yellow is out on the racetrack. Now, the drivers who want to get their lap back are racing hard. Gary Collins racing very hard, trying to beat Mike Chase back to the stripe. Looks like he's going to be able to do it, but it doesn't look like Herschel is going to be able to do it. Herschel McGriff in the 04 car. But okay, let's take a look at what took place going into turn 3. Once again, Ron Esau on the high side, J.C. Danielson on the inside. The squeeze was put on the 9 car, and he put a right front fender into the corner of Esau, spun him around. Gilliland goes to the high side. Krebs cuts between the two, but narrowly connects with the left rear quarter panel and caves in the right front fender on his car.
Well, Esau in the pits, the hood is up, and I'll tell you, they have beat all 4 corners off of this race car to this juncture in our 400 lapper. I'm not sure that they've got much race car left to work with down there, Bill, at this point.
Herschel McGriff, this is Bill Hennessy up in TNN control, and Herschel, you're a lap down, but there's a long way to go in this race.
Well, yeah, we had a little trouble there to start with at the flat, and then I had something right to start with. Something apparently hung up in the brake. But it seems all right now, so if I can get my lap back, I think we'll be in good.
What's the race been like so far as the track surface? It looks like it's a little slippery.
Well, it is a little slick, but so you got to have the chassis working just right. But we've been adjusting ours a little bit, and the new tires, of course, really help out. Of course, they help out everything.
Well, it seems like this old track is weeding out the competition for you. If you get that lap back, you'll be strong.
Well, that's what we're hoping for, but you know, these guys are pretty tough, but we're going to work real hard at it.
There's a man with some 45 years of racing under his belt. A little interesting story about Herschel. We asked him, we said, hey, what did your father say the first time you ever went racing? He said, I'll come watch it. He came and watched me for one lap. I was driving the family car. He said he went back to church after that. He was a family preacher. Well, Gary Collins got his lap back. He's now on the same lap with the leaders as they move through turn 4 at Mesa Marin Raceway here on TNN. Your leader is the 23 car, Mike Chase, but Bill Schmidt is down on the inside, right behind Wayne Jack. And his progression is blocked momentarily, so he pulls back behind your leader in second place. So the way they're running right now is Mike Chase coming to the stripe. And your second place ran is Bill Schmidt. Now, a black flag just went out. And obviously, that is going to be for 04. They say that Herschel jumped the start. And there was some discussion on the two-way radios a moment ago about how they were restarting the races on who should line up to the inside and who should line up to the outside. But for Herschel McGriff, it will be a stop-and-go penalty down at the end of the pit lane as he comes up there on flagman John Pattison. Pattison holds him momentarily. Says, go on, Herschel. Get back in the race. Try to catch up.
Paddle, paddle, paddle like mad. Well, I'll tell you what, the veteran probably tried a little something here trying to get it off the corner and get a little advantage, and it did so with a NASCAR official and cost him a goodly portion of a lap.
We'll be right back with more racing action. Mesa Marin Raceway in Bakersfield, California, for the California 400. Well, Gary Collins got his lap back. He's now on the same lap with the leaders as they move through turn 4 at Mesa Marin Raceway here on TNN. Your leader is the 23 car, Mike Chase, but Bill Schmidt is down on the inside, right behind Wayne Jack. And his progression is blocked momentarily, so he pulls back behind your leader in second place. Third place runner, Gary Collins, is closing on the leaders. He's actually gaining ground on the leaders. He's down to within 5 car lengths of the second place runner as they come down the back straightaway and overtake the St. James Davis car. Battle for second place.
Look at this. The second place battle, Collins down under Schmidt, and Collins in the 28 car has moved into the second hole. And I can tell you right now, he's looking at the back bumper of the blue number 23, Mike Chase. He wants to run Chase down. He's got something to prove at this point.
Certainly has been an exciting race so far. We've had 7 lead changes among 5 different drivers. Gary Collins is really coming on strong. He's starting to flex the muscle on the white Oldsmobile, number 28, as he draws up close to Mike Chase. Now, these are two drivers who raced against each other over the years. Chase goes to the high side around Scribner. Jack Sellers right in front of him now, along with Welch down on the inside in the 8 car. They move down into turn number 1. Collins waiting for the opportune time to hit that accelerator and make a charge on Mike Chase.
Well, Collins has followed Mike Chase around this oval track a number of laps. You can bet your life these guys know each other inside and out. They know how they race, and each one is looking for some kind of an advantage. Collins moves right up on the side, the left rear quarter panel of the Prime Miller Trucking Buick, and will put the 28 car down on the bottom. Chase can't get the door shut. Collins a little loose as they come off at turn 4. They'll race to the stripe, and it's Collins with the lead by about a front tire.
Crowd up on its feet, cheering for these two local young drivers. They move off the second corner. Gary Collins trying to maintain the lead now, but look at Mike Chase ride high to the outside there, coming up on some slow traffic. St. James Davis, both cars almost touch out of 4. They come back to the stripe. Collins runs up on Davis, then moves back to the center of the racetrack. They continue their battle wheel to wheel and hub to hub. If it were nighttime racing, we could see the fire flying off the fender.
Oh, welded at the door handles like a pair of Siamese twins. 28, 23. I'll tell you, not only do they like to race, they like to race each other. Gary Collins at 28 car, Mike Chase at 23, and Collins finally establishes that lead.
Well, one thing I want to say about both of these drivers, they race very clean. Both drivers race door handle to door handle. They never touched each other. They made it look like you could put a piece of paper between them, but in the final outcome, Collins assumes the lead, but Chase is a very smart driver. I think he realizes, hey, you've got to have some car left when they throw the checkered flag. Back to your leader now, Gary Collins on the 28 car. Crew chief on the automobile is Donnie Hubble. The man built the engine, and Ash. Gary Collins is 30 years old, 13-year racing veteran here on the West Coast in stock cars. 3-time Phoenix International Raceway Copper World Champion. Competed in the inaugural Goodyear 500 down in Melbourne, Australia. Second in last year's California 400, and he wants a win this afternoon. The track is getting slippery. The complexion of this race could very well change, but these drivers are still hard on the accelerator around this half-mile Mesa Marin Raceway.
We're monitoring the pit communications between some of our drivers also, and we are hearing word that there may be a little fatigue in the Collins car. Gary Collins, I think, has been talking to Donnie Hubble, his crew chief, and Collins has indicated he's getting awfully hot and awfully tired.
And they're running 19.37-second laps, and that is right at 93 miles an hour, which is one of the quickest laps of the race. They're looking at the 28 car because NASCAR also monitors on the scanner each one of these drivers' transmissions to their crew chiefs. They're looking at him for perhaps driver fatigue, which may be the reason that he is skating the car a little sideways out of the corners. I certainly hope not. Gary's driven such a good race that I would hate to see the man who is leading fall by the wayside because of fatigue. Gary Collins looks like he may be coming into the pits. He's coming into the pits very hot now. Drives hard into the entrance of the pits. Turns the car. His crew waiting for him. He is going to get fuel. He's slowing way down now. Way down. The new leader goes by. He's going to get right side tires. The complexion of this race has changed. It's gotten to be a disappointing day for this driver who was leading at his home track, but obviously some fumes inside the race car have sidelined this driver. Gary Collins, you can see him sitting on the pit wall there. They're probably going to give him some type of oxygen. Very limp. He goes 3 laps down after leading this race. What a story that has evolved here at Mesa Marin Raceway, his father's racetrack. crushing disappointment for Gary Collins. Let's go trackside and get a report from our own Bruce Flanders.
Medical people have come around and checked him out. Gary, how are you doing?
Oh, it's extremely hot. That seat was just roasting me. I don't know. It's the first time this car's ever done it. It is so warm.
But physically, you're going to be okay after a little bit here, or what?
Yeah. I'm just a little disappointed that the car works so good and the crew did such a good job. I can't stay out there.
Okay. Well, that's the report from down here, Bill. The leader had to pit and be relieved. Esau's in the car now, went down a lap while the change was being made. Let's go back upstairs and see how he's doing.
Well, a brand new leader who took over when Gary Collins went into the pits and is now going several laps up. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more NASCAR racing action. California 400. Right now, the 23 car of Mike Chase is your leader. Look out! Bill Schmidt goes sideways and around. He saves the car from the inside guardrail, and the yellow comes out. Now Schmidt, if he can recover and come on around and get his stop and go, he will at least be only one lap down.
Chase has got a whole lot of racetrack out in front of him. Again, an opportunity to kind of breathe the race car, settle down in the chair, and get ready for about 30 laps of finish racing here.
Almost a third of the race has been dominated by this local driver. Randy, perhaps you could fill us in on this driver's background, where he ran, how strong he got to be, because this is his home track.
Well, Michael originally is from Northern California. He ran up in that Shasta Speedway part of the country, kind of sharpened his craft there, and then decided to go late model racing. The car actually came out of Reading, and they would come down to Mesa, Marin to run the open top stock car racing that was prevalent in this part of the country. They're looking very hard at going back to the east to run the Winston Cup Series next year.
Well, I imagine if they can dominate the race here, they can join some of the Winston Cup competitors who came out of this area, like Derek Cope and Chad Little. Those drivers, of course, started on the West Coast. And Ernie Irvin, the man that won the Daytona 500 this year, came out of the Southwest Tour. So the West can be quite proud. Many of their drivers certainly have been competitive. Bob Walker has been having that good run in the 88 car, but we're showing Mike Chase as the leader. 88, Bob Walker, one lap down in second place. He has really been getting around this racetrack like no one else, and has basically been doing it like the Phantom, the Black Phantom in car 88. Walker has run a fairly conservative race. He's been on the money as far as turning consistent lap times. He's kept his car out of trouble and has basically realized, hey, this is 400 laps of competition. This is tough on any driver and his machine, especially on a half-mile facility like this one on a very hot Sunday afternoon. $73,000 plus the total purse for this 400-lap race. $13,200 plus going to the winner, and Mike Chase probably is ready to ride to the bank on Monday morning. I want to thank the folks from the First of Line Electronics and Racing Radios for providing us our in-car radios this afternoon. They sure do a good job, and they are the first choice for in-car radios for communications between crew chief and driver. And a lot of times, that's the technology that will win races for you. But we certainly have had the opportunity to communicate with many of the drivers this afternoon via racing radios. Winding down this 400-lap chase under a beautiful California sun.
I can tell you right now, Bill, that Mike Chase, the 23 car, is listening for every noise that you can imagine in that Brian Miller Buick. A vibration, a noise, something. He knows at this point that he has got to keep the car together, and every suspicious noise he hears is going to make that old heart beat just a little bit more. He's got a great lead on the second-place car, but right now he wants to maintain that.
We will have one lap to go. He'll get the white flag next time by. It's time to take it easy. You're almost home. You have enough of a cushion that you could probably coast around here and win the race. He goes high on the racetrack in turn 4. He's coming to the white flag now. He's beneath the white flag of our flagman, Alan Porter. He's down into turn 1, runs a high, wide line off the second corner. Next time by, he'll get the checkered flag, an up-close shot of the Frymiller number 23 Buick. He's coming out of turn 4 now. Alan Porter waves the checkered flag, and the winner with his hand out of the window and claiming victory, $13,000 plus in prize money, is a hometowner. And they're going to be celebrating here in Bakersfield tonight. What an exciting finish on this TNN Sports presentation. Second place goes to Bob Walker in car number 88, who started 24th on the field, 1 lap down. Your third place driver is car 04, Herschel McGriff, the longtime runner with some 45 years in the sport, still looking for those checkered flags. We'll be going to Victory Lane in just a moment with our Bruce Landers.